Yeah, here doing this live thing. I don't know if you guys saw the post that I put where I was speaking about the gangs. And I'm speaking about the gangs because I had an incident. I had an incident with my grandsons. And come to find out the area where they are in, is being occupied by gang members. And my thing is that as gang members, it's become a problem because it's become basically them against us mentality. And that mentality is causing a separation that is hurting our community. And the original form forming of gangs was actually to protect the community. And now it's become something other than that. And it's become based on fear and power to a certain extent. Like, my grandson is 18 and one is 13. A 13-year-old was threatening to bring a gun to school because he had a fight with one of my 13-year-old grandson's teammates. And he felt like somebody snitched on him because the principal found out about the fight somehow. And now he wants to bring a gun to school to basically handle his problem. And for me, and I'm sure for some of you, using a gun to handle a problem with a fist fight at 13 years old, something is really wrong with our community. As us who acknowledge ourselves as black people, you know what I mean? What are we doing to ourselves? We are in conditions that are hurting us, and the conditions that we in is based on a mind conditioning, based on a way that we think about ourselves, based on the way that we look at each other, because there's no way that we as a people have this type of energy towards each other where we want to kill each other for something somebody said that you don't like. And at 13 years old, you feel like it's okay to grab a gun to shoot at someone, because the 13-year-old ultimately was shooting at my 18-year-old grandson. And with that type of stuff, like, come on, what do we do as a community of people? How do we get to a point where we be able to handle this situation? And I want to say to those of you who are planning on voting. Now, if you're planning on voting, if you plan on voting for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, do you think that either one of them has a plan in place to fix what our children are dealing with? And I know as parents, you work every day, you come home, you're tired. You're not in the mood to actually deal with your children or even find out really what your children are going through in some cases, especially if you're a single parent, be it the man or the woman. In most cases, it's the sisters out here. The sisters are out here taking care of the boys. And after a certain age, and especially in the environment that we are in at this time, it's difficult, almost next to impossible, for the woman or the sisters to be able to do what needs to be done for their sons when it comes to raising a son into a man, raising a boy into a man. This is like what's happening because at a certain age, a woman just don't know what to say. And once a boy start getting to a certain height and certain strength, he's gonna start looking at his mother as somebody's a weakling, because at some point he's gonna be able to overpower his mom. I mean, for me, it was 14. I was 14 years old when I realized that I was able to stop my mom from beating me because I was strong enough to stop her. So now we are dealing with an environment where our children are at fear, and not just our children. You got other children are going to school with these guns, and they're the children are in fear. And we, as the adults, it's necessary for us to do something, you know, to do something. Peace, Floyd. Peace. How are you? How are you, my brother? Good to see you. Good to see that you're watching. Because after all, look, we grew up in a time, many of us who were born 60s and 70s and even the 50s and even some of the 80s. We grew up in a time where we didn't have to live in fear. Now our children have to live in fear. And if you are not following me on Facebook or Peep Game TV on YouTube, subscribe and follow and share this with others because thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know, striving to do good, man, because we as a people need to make some changes within ourselves. We need to be more concerned about each other as we were in the past. We weren't always the way that we are now, and we have the ability to get back to what we were. We have the ability to do that. And it's just a matter of starting to look at each other differently, starting to utilize each other as assets rather than utilize each other as liabilities. Because for gang mentality to be us against them, it's not helping our community at all. When it should be us against the ones who invaded the country and got us under their laws and their rules and regulations, which is prohibited us. And I want any of you who are watching to take take some time and look something up. It's called the black the Christian Black Code. The Christian Black Code. It was the Christian Black Code 1724. Look that up and look at the Christian Black Code and take a look at that. And it's something that I think. All right, brother. Peace. I appreciate you for taking the time. Go ahead and handle your business, man. That's what we got to do. It's necessary for us to handle business and to get in a position where we're able to help these young people more. Because what's going on out here is utterly madness. It's just madness. It's not being beneficial to no one but, I like to say, the colonizers instead of the white people or the Europeans. I like to say the colonizers. We've been colonized And our mindset has been manipulated to look at ourselves as the enemy. And long as we continue to look at ourselves as the enemy, we're not going to be able to fix what's necessary to be fixed by looking at each other in that from that perspective. And it really bothers me with the situation that I had to deal with my grandsons, both of them, 13 and 18. 13-year old shooting at the 18-year old. The 13-year-old boy knows my grandson. And then, this is the other thing about you young people out there. You can know each other and you get angry. And I got to realize a lot of you are in pain. A lot of you are hurting. A lot of you are in situations that are definitely unhealthy, and you feel like you don't have love. You feel like no one cares about you. I'm here to tell you, I care about you. And there are more people who do care about you. However, your actions make it difficult for those people to show you that they care about you because you have a lot of people walking around that are in fear of you guys. And it's sad that we as a people have gotten to the point, many of us, who where we fear our children. And that's a travesty. That's unheard of. And we, not the politicians, it's beneficial for us to realize that now in 2024, we actually have a way out. We actually have the ability to change what we've been fighting for so long. Look at us. I want us to look at ourselves as a people, as black people, and look how we talk to each other about not being liked for our skin color. But yet we're promoting a system that has been put in place to give another people a hierarchy over us. And mind you, I'm not prejudiced. I don't dislike any people. I just love the people that I'm a part of. I love us so much that I take time, even with what I'm dealing with my life. And that's the reason that I shared with you what was going on with my grandson, having to pick him up because it was fear planted about a fellow classmate carrying a gun that wanted to shoot him and rest of the football team. And the same young man fired shots at his older brother. Come on, people. What will it take for us to realize that there's something more than wrong about this type of behavior, and that this type of behavior is not normal? This type of behavior is unacceptable, and we need to start not accepting it. We, as a human race, as everybody in the world, we need to be able to work together and make things better for all people. However, for us as a people, it's important for us to realize that we have human rights that we have traded in for civil rights. And all the people that we speak about that comes to this land and These people come from a land that they can have a land that their government protects them. I want you all to be real with yourselves. Do the American government or the United States government truly protect black people? There was something on TikTok where a young man was hanged. Who do you, who do you think did that? And we, as a land of people, have this black and white prejudice thing going on, this playing one against the other, similar to the way that the gangs are playing one against the other. Now, this stuff is not by design, people. This stuff is actually systematic. This stuff is actually by design. This stuff keeps a certain amount of people in power, a certain amount of people making more money and placing the rules and regulations on other people. When are we, as a people, a nation of people, going to get tired of that? Ultimately, there's information, there's written contracts that's known as treaties that we as Moroccans, Moors for short, have that we can utilize to regain our position as the majority. We no longer have to be a minority when we decide to utilize our documents that will give us the legal right to make our own laws, to govern ourselves, and to enforce those laws towards the United States of America. Now, some of you probably think that's far out and it's out of this world, or America won't allow us to do it. That's part of the conditioning that we have been prone to receiving from grammar school to high school, even in college. We've been conditioned a certain way to not look at ourselves for the answer, but to look at people outside of who we are to fix our problems. And if that's the case, we would be in a much better position if these people were really here to fix our problem. Look at it. Let's be real with ourselves. Every nationality of people take care of their people. They have their own states, they have their own country, many of them have their own language, and they do business amongst themselves. And also have businesses in our neighborhoods, and we do business amongst them more so than we do business amongst ourselves. And this is a problem, people. This is a problem. It is necessary for us to peep the game that's being played on us constantly, consistently. Many of us have gotten so used to being entertained to the point we don't want to be educated because we've been miseducated for so long to the point where education or proper education is something we don't look forward to. As I was saying before, in 2024, we have legal contracts called treaties that gives us the power to enact these treaties or these contracts between us as a Moroccan, Moors for short people, to build our states. These 50 states that we live in are 50 states that were established by the colonizers, by the people who called our ancestors slaves. And as a people, how many of you think about what were we prior to being called slaves? What were we called prior to 1492, where Christopher Columbus supposedly came here and discovered America in 1492, when reality that America didn't become America until 1776. So how could he discover something that wasn't even called what is called now United States of America in 1492? We as a people, we as a nation of people, and we as a nation within this land, it's necessary for us as a whole to realize that we've all been played, both those who acknowledge themselves as black and those who acknowledge themselves as white and Latino. You guys may get more advantages when it comes to being able to do business because you have a land that you connect to and you have a language that you can claim, whereas we as those of us who acknowledge ourselves as black people, there's no land called black. There's no land called African American. There's no land called colored. And as painful as it sounds, or however it sounds to you, it's true. So if that's the case, what are we willing to do? How much are we willing to sacrifice to make it better for future generations? Yeah, I know we all have to work. I know we it's necessary for us to provide. It's necessary for us to work. And I don't like to use have to because the majority of the stuff we do, we choose to. We have choices, and most times we choose actions or activities that are unhealthy or that are not beneficial to us because gang banging is unhealthy to us as it is now. Now, if it's reestablished to a point where there's no enemy and the complexions of the people and the people in all areas are able to unite and work together and do business together, then it would change. Because if you have gangs, what is the purpose of having police protecting your community when the gangs have the ability to protect the community and everyone in the community, and yet gang members claim territory, but they're planting fear in the people that they say that's in their territory, and they're not doing proper or not committing proper actions that will help them own things or properties in their community. If you want to claim a territory, then do like most of you will remember. Nipsey Hussle was a gang member, but he was more than a gang member. He was a humanitarian, and he was showing you young brothers and sisters that ownership is the way to go. We require ownership, not just claiming something and don't own anything. It's time for us to be able to own things instead of claiming it. How do you claim a territory and you're not owning anything in that territory, or you're not pushing forth with the proper actions to get to the point where you actually own something? We, as a nation of Moroccan people, Moors for short, yeah, black is something we use to identify ourselves. Black is not who we are. Black is something that was placed upon us, a label or a title that was placed upon us to actually hide who we truly are, to actually keep us from recognizing who we truly are. And it's our responsibility to repair what was damaged within our nation of people. And it's going to take us to do that. It's going to take us coming together, being able to sacrifice, being able to unify, and most of all, being able to shift the way that we think about knowledge that we've received, that we've brought into and adopted in our lives that is not working for us. If these things that we have adopted in our lives is not making our lives better as a whole, and we get past that me and I, and we start dealing with we and us, then we will be able to repair the damage that has been perpetrated and committed upon us for over 248 years. That's what it's going to take for us to get to where we are capable of being. We're capable of much more than we realize. However, we've been indoctrinated and conditioned to believe that we deserve what we are not getting. And part of what we're getting is more than what our ancestors had. So we accept that. No, no longer should we accept less than the best for all of us. It's time for us to unify as one and not allow different religions, different financial backgrounds, different political parties, different ideologies to separate us anymore. Different titles that we call ourselves. Those things are in the way, those things are distractions that we as a people have the ability to correct. And as I said, and I'm about to end with this, that we have, and there are people behind the scenes who are working towards restoring and reestablishing our own government, and we need help from some of you. And yes, it's possible. And yes, it's a right for us to be able to do so. Go to Impact Study Sessions on YouTube. Start with one and go all the way up to 153. Take some time to do this, people, and subscribe on my other channels, my other platforms, Instagram, Peep Game TV, Andre Shadi Hill, Facebook, and my YouTube, Peep Game TV. Subscribe and follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and I leave you all with my humble and most heartfelt peace, love, and equality and unity for all of us. And just remember, only we can change our condition. And it starts with one of us at a time by changing our mindset. Until next time, I'll leave you all with peace.